Right guys, welcome to today's video. I did promise new videos and we've got one here. This is my top 5 picks of 2025 so far, albums wise. So I'm just going to go through my top 5 albums. It was kind of difficult to choose. There was quite a lot of good albums I've listened to this year. Also a lot of ones that are less good, so don't think that just because I've given these 5 albums really high scores, I give every album I see a really high score. That's not the case. So yeah, so what we're going to do is go through each one. They're very equal in kind of measure, but I have placed them from 5 to 1, and I'll go through it in that order. So yeah, I hope you enjoy the video. If there's an album that hasn't come up in my top 5 that you think should be here, let me know down below. And also I've left a submission link so you can submit albums that you want me to listen to. If there's any from this year that you feel that I've missed out on, or you feel I may have not listened to, then yeah, as I say, and as I say also, I dropped my album of the year profile link so you can see what I've been listening to as well. So you can, if you want to know what I think of an album, it's down there. All right. Alright, first up guys, we have an album by Heartworms, Glutton for Punishment. It's their debut album. I was really impressed with this album. I think the progressive nature of some of the tracks, such as I Just Asked for a Dance, made them really interesting. The vocal performance was really compelling. I thought there were some grittier tracks like Jacked, and more stripped back tracks which complemented the vocal performance, such as Mad Catch. I think there were a couple of tracks that maybe dragged on a bit too much without changing as much, such as Extraordinary Wings. Felt like that track kind of was drifting and maybe still kept you interested, but drifted on a bit too long. Could have been a couple of minutes shorter. But I did like the mixing across the album was really good. I think it was really punchy, and I thought the group styled vocals on the back end of Smuggler's Adventure was really good. And I thought, yeah, throughout the album, really, the percussion was really good, the drums were really good. I thought there was a interpolation of Just to Ask for a Dance, which is probably my favourite track from the album, and I thought there was an interpolation of that on the back end of the title track, which was right at the end of the album, Glutton for Punishment. But yeah, overall, I thought it was a really, really solid debut album. 37 minutes, stretched across 9 tracks. Yeah, I thought this was really good. So overall, I gave this an 87. I think that's reflective of how good an album it is. Great riffs, catchy, interesting lyrics, some good atmospheres, good vocal performances, good mixing. Yeah, really strong start to the listen. A great first album from these guys. Next up we have an album by Ichiko Aoba, Luminescent Creatures, this one's called. Now I went into this completely with an unknown of what to expect. I'd never listened to an Ichiko track before, didn't know anything about her or kind of the music that she created, and really it was like whatever. And I was completely blown away, to be honest. I thought this was a beautiful album. I think the atmospheres, but created by the instrumentation, the vocal performances were amazing. There was lucid pianos, piercing strings, mesmerizing vocal renditions. I thought this was really an excellent piece of chamber folk all round. The highlight track for me was Tower because of the kind of lovely piano arrangements. I thought that they were particularly compelling on that track, and I think they complemented Ichiko's vocal performance the best of any instrumentation. But I mean, yeah, throughout the album there's just luscious pianos, strings that make a sort of bed for Ichiko's voice. Luciferine and Coloratura are really exemplifications of that kind of instrumentation, making a kind of bed for the vocals. And as I say, whilst this album did feel like it could have been in certain movies or certain video games. It almost felt like sometimes you expect this in kind of story games like Witcher, things like that. Or even games like a DS, a walkthrough game, something like that. It never felt like a movie soundtrack or a video game soundtrack. It still felt like an album with a lot of personality to it, and I think that is really impressive. And yeah, as I say, this was my first taste of Ichiko, and it's fair to say that I'll be coming back for more. I'll have to go and check out her other stuff because this was a fabulous record. And I gave this as well. I gave this an 87 as well. Right guys, next we have Jane Remover, Revenge Seekers. Now, I've listened to her previous two records and been thoroughly impressed by them, by the production, by her vocal performances, by the arrangements. So I was really kind of looking forward to this album. I had high expectations, and it's fair to say I wasn't disappointed. I thought her vocal performances, whilst they're a bit repetitive, and that's maybe the one criticism I have of this album, is that I think vocally it's perhaps a bit repetitive, the same kind of style of vocals across all of the tracks. I do think they were compelling and they were passionate. I thought the production was incredible and probably is the engine room of this album. There's a good Danny Brown feature on a track called Psycho Boost, and I think the tracks Twice Removed and Psycho Boost got the album off to a really good start. And I think there was a couple of amazing breakdowns at the end of tracks on Experimental Skin and Turn Up or Die, and they kind of embody the chaotic nature of these records. Whilst tracks like Dream Flasher show that Jane is not scared to be intimate like she has shown before on her previous records. She's not scared to be intimate. There's some cool effects, Pokemon sounds and Pokemon lines. I don't have them to memory, but I remember them being there. And it's good to see some integration of some childhood themes that were in Jane's life. And yeah, overall, I think this is another magnificent Jane Remover album. Really great electronic production, great arrangement, powerful punchy drums and basses and synths. And yeah, overall, I think that's another great album. I gave this one another 87 on Album of the Year. Guys, we have an album by one of my favourite artists, Erika Dikasia, called Lifetime. Now, her previous album, Still, which released in 2024, I was left really underwhelmed by and quite frankly disappointed by. I thought it was a bit of a crossroads. I didn't think she knew where to go. She was stuck between doing a kind of intimate, soft, close sound that we heard on Essentials, but she failed to take it into a new direction and failed to recreate the kind of intimacy I thought, and it ended up sounding a bit bland. But I was pleasantly surprised by this album, Lifetime. I think it didn't swerve as much back to her intimate sound, whilst keeping perhaps the best bits of the intimate vocal style that she likes and the intimate lyrics. I thought that it took the kind of peaceful and ethereal side of the vocals and pushed it towards a heavier and groovier style. I thought the drums were really good, the percussion was really good, and I think they pushed the tracks into a newer, groovier direction. I was really pleased to see that. I think tracks like You Can't Always Get What You Want, Seasons, December are really, really replayable because of the bustling, groovy beats that are added, which you do hear at times on Essentials, but less punchy, and I think that's what makes this album different and kind of feel cutting edge in the kind of world of Erika Dikasia. I thought that drums help on December and Seasons. They help, and also on The Garden, they help Erika dictate the pace of the track and make sure that there's a change of pace in the album. It doesn't feel like everything's so one tone and one paced. And similarly to Heartworms, as we discussed earlier, Erika Dikasia chooses to place the title track of Lifetimes at the very end. which I think is a good way for her to cap off her feelings and thoughts and themes of this album, which is longing, love, passion, reminiscence, kind of talking about life in general, things like this. And yeah, as I say, overall, I think this is a really positive response to perhaps a slightly underwhelming album last year, and I think it reflects the diversity in her sound, that she can make slightly heavier, punchier sort of tracks whilst keeping that kind of ethereal, intimate sound, which is obviously at her core. So overall, yeah, another brilliant album. I gave this one 87 as well. Now, I think it's going to be difficult for me to describe why I like this album so much, because there's maybe nothing, people might think there's not that much special about this album. This is an album by an artist called Diane, called Midwest. Now, I hadn't ever heard of her, and she's quite a small artist, but it says my first taste of her, and I thought it was fabulous. I think the writing mixed with the vocal performances, the arrangement of the instrumentation, where she chooses to add particular strings and guitars and pianos, really make the perfect storm. And I think a lot of these tracks, just when you put them together as pieces of music and songs, they're just fabulous. I think the maturity in her writing is shining through on a lot of these songs. The drums are punchy in places such as Dark Streets, and I think the progressive instrumentations on tracks such as Dark Street never feel as if they drag on. I think Dark Streets is an embodiment of why I like this album so much, because structurally that song is amazing. You know, additions of guitar riffs towards the end, new melodies. It never feels like the song is repetitive, even though there are elements of it that are repetitive. I think tracks like Steady Hand and Midwest show the differences. One of them's a sort of guitar-based ballad, and the other one's a piano-based ballad, but they feel like they keep you moving, they keep you on your feet. There's lyrical content of disconnect and trying to find a place. I think on When We Go and This Is What Fiction Is For, the album then takes a sort of surprising and welcome, but also really well done electronic turn. It doesn't feel like the synths are just being cheaply added or have been cheaply selected. They are really gritty and punchy and add to the tracks and really help power the tracks on. I think also Diane's vocals, her vocal range and diversity throughout this album. She can do the softer tones, the more intimate tones, but she's also got the really rich, powerful, louder tones on tracks like What Fiction Is For, which is why it's my favourite track on the album. And overall, as I say, this is my first taste of Diane, and I was completely blown away by it. I have to say, I think I really recommend you guys check this album out. It's a fabulous album, and overall, I think as so far, there's been lots of strong albums this year. This one takes the cake for me. I gave it an 88 out of 100 on Album of the Year.
I heard it calling out to me, and I wondered if I'd ever go. Illusions of understanding where we...
Right guys, so I hope you enjoyed that video. I know it might come across quite short. I'm a little bit busy today, so I wanted to make it snappy. But overall, I thought that, yeah, this has been a good year for music so far. We've had Mac Miller release, Rebecca Black's had a good album. We've had Mike with a good album. Obviously, we've had quite a range of other artists have good albums that haven't made the cut here. So, as I say, do check out my album of the year. If you think that as I haven't listened to an album, I might not have listened to it, but I might well have as well. So do check that out. As I say, do submit if you think that there's an album you want me to listen to or a track you want me to listen to. I will get around to doing it and put it on the channel. There are a few albums I'm excited to hear. Addison Rae's new album is going to be really exciting to hear. Lord's new album is really exciting to hear, as well as the fact I'm going to see her live. I'm trying to think now. There's a couple other artists as well, but there's lots of exciting stuff coming up. Oh yeah, the Indigo D'Souza as well. Really exciting album coming up as well. So overall, lots of really exciting new albums that I'll probably do reviews on for here as well. So any album I listen to now, I'll try and make a review of it. And as I say, overall, I thought I think 2025 has been a really good year for music. I hope you've enjoyed this album. I hope you agree or disagree with my top 5. If you do, then please let me know why and what you think instead in the comments. And again, please get submitting as well. So I will see you in the next video. Goodbye.